Hello, basketball fans. This is Fantasy Basketball Analyzer. I'm DC Hewitt, and I'm here to help get you ready for Week 13 of the NBA season by checking out the waiver wire. So, off the top, I made this list last night, and I don't want this news to slip by. So, in case you didn't see, it's come out for the Bulls that Wendell Carter and Kobe White aren't going to be starting. So, that makes Thaddeus Young and Thomas Satoransky bump into the starting lineup. Thad's probably owned in most leagues anyway, and should be. So, Sato's worth picking up. Speculative. Don't cut Kobe and Carter, right? Like, just because there's a lineup change, it's one of those little in-between things. It's not going to be in the full list. Just want to mention that at the top. All right, let's get into the list. I'm going to talk about some guys. They're probably a little too high owned, but it's worth checking because they're over my 50% cusp, right? We talk about available in at least 50% of leagues. But let's just look at it while thinking about how many games are happening this week. So, Kuzma is rostered at 56%. You know, he's playing fine. He's a top 200 fantasy player this year. That's not great, but he's got 5 games this week. So, Kuzma's worth a look. Maybe Horton Tucker. It's really about the 5 games, all right? I'm not, falling all over myself like I would be for Kevin Porter Jr. at 59%. He's probably going to be the thumbnail on this thing, but at 59%, he's already rostered too much, but 59%'s also not high enough. He should be on more rosters, right? I can be on board with you should get Kevin Porter, and also on board to you should be open to trading him high, if that makes any sense, right? But I mean trading him truly high. If you go and sort by his average performance, he's the 23rd best player in fantasy. I don't think he ends that way, right? So if you can get any kind of top 30 value for him, I think you're okay to make that move. If not, I think you're fine. You hold on and ride with him. Honestly, how well he's doing right now was kind of what I pumped up Justice Winslow hoping to get a little while ago, which was too high on Winslow. I think Porter's a little too high, right? But he's worth grabbing if he's out there, still available in 40% of leagues. You should add him if he's there. Along those lines, 2 Cavs are back from injury. Larry Nance Jr., 61%, and Kevin Love at 76%. I'm actually more interested in Nance than K-Love. But they're both out there. I'm just kind of mentioning it. You might be more excited about any of these guys than some of the others we're going to get into for who to play this week and stuff. We've mentioned them other weeks. At least I think we have. Rob Williams, Time Lord, right? 46%. He's still out there. I'm not going to talk about him too much. Just hit on him. All right, getting into this week. Dallas has 4 games. Brunson's been on a tear. He's rostered in 32%. So widely available. You go pick him up. Over the last 30 days, he's averaging 16 points, 4 rebounds, 3 assists, and getting you 2 threes. So you're not upset about that. That's pretty good. He's got a solid field goal percentage as well. But I really like the 4 rebounds. If you're playing in a categories league, you get to play him at point guard. 4 rebounds is pretty solid, along with everything else being good, not hurting you anywhere. I think he's a good pickup this week with 4 games. Dallas doesn't play... they play 2 times against the Clippers and then 2 times against Portland. You like the 2 games against Portland to end the week. All spread out, no back-to-backs. So I like Brunson as a pickup. In a similar vein, but a little less interest, if I'm looking for a guard, Shake Milton's rostered in 23%. He's averaging 13 points, 4 rebounds, and 3 assists. So right around there, right? But he's only getting a 3 in a game. The big difference is he's shooting 41% from the floor. So 41's not bad if you get to play him as a guard. It's not terrible. But if you're playing categories league, Brunson over Shake Milton, but I both think they're good options. Philly also has 4 games. Their schedule's a little less desirable. They play the Knicks to start and end the week. They get the Bucks and Sacramento in there. So Sacramento is a plus. Knicks are a minus. I think it's a good option, but I'm not falling all over myself to pick up Shake this week. Another pretty obvious name for you, now that we know Embiid's out for, it looks like 2 weeks, Dwight Howard should probably be a pretty hot pickup. He's only rostered in 26% of leagues, and he's going to get exactly what you think, right? 12 points, 10 to 12 rebounds, about a block and a half. It's all great, but if you're in a categories league or depending on your scoring, he's still not a master of free throws, and he could really sink it. I looked at him in a roto league I play with some fantasy pros, and I chose not to because I really didn't want him to hurt my free throw percentage, specifically in a roto league. He's not taking a ton of free throws, so I don't want to overstate it, but if he's playing more minutes, depending on the teams he plays, if they run a hack of Dwight, maybe that changes. But Philly does have 4 games. He's usable for 2 weeks. He's definitely worth picking up depending on your team situation. I wanted to recommend DeAnthony Melton as a pickup, but his minutes are just super frustrating, and it's not his fault unless it's his fault for something off the court. But he just can't get the consistent run to be as effective as we see him be. Like in his small minutes, Milton looks awesome, and then he'll play 15 minutes the next game and he only gets you 6 points. So I think Milton's still a watch list. I wouldn't jump on it right now. Later in the season, hopefully we can be excited about him, but I wouldn't push in for this week. He does have 4 games if you want to roll the dice, 19% rostered. I think it's still just an excited wait and see. All right, the rest of the guys I've talked about were probably obvious names. I definitely think they can help you if you pick them up this week. I might be more excited about KJ Martin, 18% rostered as of recording this, and I think that's going to go up. He's averaging 14 points, 10 rebounds, 2 blocks, and a steal and a half. I don't know that the blocks and steal and a half will stay that high, but if you can play him at small forward, that's a huge win to get all those defensive stats. Houston's got 4 games. They've got all the run they can want right now. Like, the team seems to be in tank, but even if not, there's just a general lack of talent and cohesiveness on the team. They've got minutes to spare. They've got guys like Wall who have to rest. Like, he's hurt right now, but assuming he's back, he still rests on the back-to-backs. That creates the extra minutes for Kevin Porter, KJ Martin, and the next guy, Justin Patton. If you want a center, he's only 6% rostered. He's got 4 games. It's worth looking. Just Houston's turning into OKC, where there's just guys we're always talking about, right? I've mentioned Theo Maledon in the past. We had Hamidou Diallo. Now he's in Detroit. That trade happened. But we kept looking at OKC going, which guy? With Houston, if you got the spot to scramble, I like KJ Martin Jr. I think it's worth the ad, and we see what happens with 4 games. He's getting like big man stats for you at a small forward position, and that could really help you in your categories league. But he should be valuable in points leagues as well. And Justin Patton, I would look at both of them. Speaking of OKC, Lou Dort's only rostered in 27% of leagues. I think it should be a little bit higher, but don't go nuts. I think it's more of a category move, and you got to be punting field goal percentage, right? Over the last 30 days, he's averaging 34% on 12 attempts per game. That's a bummer. But if we were ignoring that, 13 points, 4 rebounds, 2 assists, and 2 3-pointers, that's in the range I was talking about for some of the other guards like Brunson and Shake Milton. So it's worth a look. He also only has 3 games this week, so it's not a ringing endorsement, but I was surprised to see that he was only rostered in a quarter of leagues. I thought it'd be a little bit higher. Dort seems to be one of those guys who still, his impact on the court is going to be bigger than your fantasy team, at least as far as the positives go. The last guy on my list, I kind of wanted to recommend more, but I can't. Jaylen Nowell, rostered 4% as of recording this. He only's got 3 games this week. And that's kind of a bummer because he's doing well right now. If I look for over the last 2 weeks, he's averaging 2.5 3-pointers, 14 points, about 4 rebounds, 3 assists. Like, that's the same things we've been talking about for some of these guys, but with only 3 games. And he's got a limited lifespan here for fantasy value, I think. He's getting this run right now with Beasley out and suspended. I think Beasley's only going to be out for another like 2 weeks, so maybe there's a little use here. But if we're going ahead and looking at the schedule with 3 games this week, and they're not great games. I mean, Minnesota plays Lakers, Phoenix. We don't love that matchup. So I think he's probably a watch list, or you let someone else pick him up. I don't think he's going to blow up, and you're going to be kicking yourself all season that you missed out on him. If you're looking like maybe you give it a shot and try and stream him on those right couple days, but I was hoping to endorse him a little more. I'm throwing a wet blanket on that. A couple other guys I've seen floated around that I just don't want any piece of while I'm being a wet blanket. No to Otto Porter. I don't believe in Rudy Gay. Like, again, basketball impact's going to be bigger than what we're seeing right here. I'm not making the move. MCW, meh. I've recommended him before. I've picked him up. I've cut him. Not going nuts. If you're in a really deep league, Maxi Kleber, Kelly Olynyk, maybe Isiah Roby, if you're really deep. But, Roby's only going to have 3 games. Maxi's at least got 4. None of them, excited me enough that they made my main list. And I would put Pokusevski on your watch list again. He's only got 3 games. I think he's more exciting to watch than have in fantasy. If you're in a keeper or dynasty and he's out there, go ahead and scoop him up. I tried to in my league, but he was already owned, which was a good move. So Poku's just a lot of fun. I don't think he's worth picking up. But do you have other names, other questions? Leave them in the comments below. Please share this. Thank you for watching, and go out and win your week. Thank you so much for watching. If you made it this far, please hit the like button and leave a comment down below. It helps me grow the channel. If you want more videos like this, hit subscribe or even the little bell will give you alerts. And I'll be back soon with another video for you.